You want to get on the action? We want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG @FadeRoutePodcast. Drop us a DM on Twitter @FadeRouteDNZ. Comment on our YouTube channel, The Fade Route with DNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it, we want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd. Welcome to The Fade Route with D and Z. Here are your hosts, D and Z. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of The Fade Route with DNZ, and I am Z, and we have a jam-packed show all lined up, ready for you.
It's a damn exciting show. That's what it is.
It is a damn exciting show, absolutely, and here he is. I've known this guy since our days on Carousel Shoes, the last QB in St. John's history, flight crew through and through. What's up, D? How's it going?
Chilling. Just excited about the week that was sports and the football schedule coming up on Sunday.
100%, absolutely. But I think we would be remiss if we did not take a little bit of time and reflect a little bit on 9/11, since we are recording this on 9/11. Is the 19th anniversary of one of the most tragic dates in American history, and I know you and I both remember where we were that day, and it's something that'll stick with you for the rest of your life. And everybody that was taken from us that day, they're gone, but they're not forgotten.
Yeah, a true day of infamy, and we'll never forget.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things that it really sent our country and a lot of individual people on a different path than they may have planned. It's
a lot of heroes lost their lives that day.
Yeah,
and so many lives just changed forever, and most not for the better.
Agreed. But there was one thing that definitely helped ease that pain, and that was sports. And after all, we're not going to get too heavy. This is a sports podcast after all. So let's get into it. Last night, football open, boys and girls. It was Houston versus Kansas City, and it went about what we thought it was going to,
I was kind of surprised, actually. I thought Houston would have had more fight in them. I also thought that it would have been a much more competitive game, especially when you're talking about two of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. I thought there would have been downfield passing, explosive plays. It wasn't a preseason game, but it had a preseason feel, especially with the empty seats. And I don't know what Houston's going to do. I understand the position they were in. They pretty much had to decide, are we going to sign Hopkins long-term, or are we going to sign Watson long-term? They decided to stick with the quarterback. They traded Hopkins to one of only a few places where they could pick up his salary and his extension, but you got all these receivers that run sub 4.3s and sub 4.4s, and they couldn't get open.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Kenny Stills, the Brandon Cooks, the Will Fullers of the world, they were not cutting the mustard last night. But in the beginning, like when it was a real feeling out process to the beginning of the game, and I think Anthony Weaver was playing pretty conservative on defense, and that just kind of allowed Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce to get their feet under them, and allowed Patrick Mahomes to just make some quality passes when he needed to. And really, for me, last night was about the arrival of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had a monster game for no preseason whatsoever. straight from LSU to the pros. Welcome to the NFL. He shredded Houston, and he had a monster game. To me, I got a major early in his career LaDainian Tomlinson vibe from him, and not just because he's small like LT was. Yes, Edwards-Helaire is 5'9", but he's built, like a brick shithouse, as they like to say. And he, he was the goods last night. He really brought it to the point where Mahomes didn't have to do everything. And you could have a bad game or a subpar game from Tyreek Hill, and it didn't matter.
But was that more about how bad the Texans defense is or how good Helaire is and how good the Kansas City offensive line is with they have the new guard, Simile. Excuse me. I'm not gonna proclaim this guy as a future Hall of Famer just after this game against a terrible Houston team. I didn't get flashes of LT. He looked a lot to me like Andy Reid had said, like a Brian Westbrook, even maybe a Warrick Dunn.
I can see that.
Definitely talented. He didn't have the burst of speed that I thought he had in college, but that might just be because it was like the first game. I really like the backup running back, Darrell Williams. I thought he played excellent. I thought he was a great change of pace back. I loved him on third downs. But you're right. Sammy Watkins was torching them, for crying out loud. And they had Kelsey did what he wanted. And I've seen Kansas City Chiefs play live. Friends of mine work for the team, and I've had the privilege to be on the field, and everybody just runs wide open. I mean, when you're sitting back there and you're Pat Mahomes, everybody's open. It's just the one play on the goal line where Tyreek Hill scored the touchdown. I mean, he just blatantly beat the guy. Like, he's just like, I'm faster than you. I'm just going to I'm going to run across your face and just catch the ball and score.
Well, there aren't going to be many guys that can match stride for stride with Tyreek Hill. So Bradley Roby tried the best he could, but at the end of the day, the Chiefs were, they were a complete mismatch for them. And honestly, I was very surprised with the performance of David Johnson. I was, we're going to come up with a little bit of a prop later, boys and girls, about who's going to play more games. But I really expected David Johnson to not even finish yesterday. So the simple fact that he not only finished the game, but performed the way he did and put the ball in the end zone, it's a win. I mean, there's no such thing as a moral victory, but when you haven't played.
He had something like 70 yards rushing, 30 yards receiving, and a touchdown. I mean, he did what he was there to do. There's no doubt about that.
Right, agreed. But the wide receivers, they're just non-existent. I mean, Randall Cobb caught 2 passes in the fourth quarter? I think that's it, right? But
I don't know what Randall Cobb's doing there, quite honestly. But you can leave that for another day.
Yeah,
they have a lot. They got a lot to work out. The only thing one of the other bright spots on their offense was Atkins. Yes. I thought the second tight end played very well. Made people miss, got open. But, again, Deshaun Watson's like running for his life. Yeah. They signed Tunzel to a very lucrative deal. But outside of that, who's helping this guy? Who's protecting this guy?
Well, I think there were 3 false start penalties on the right tackle last night, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, something like that. But they're gonna have, and it doesn't get any easier for Houston. I'm pretty sure next week I think they go to Baltimore, and then the week after that I think they play the Steelers.
Oh my goodness!
It's gonna be a tough start to the season. Brandon Cooks was not there. Will Fuller was leading the receiver core, and he's not supposed to be that guy. He's supposed to be the deep threat. He's not supposed to be running the one routes.
Right. Well, it's another. I mean, they should really think about legally changing their name to Houston Moral Victories, because Will Fuller actually survived an NFL game without injury. So good for Will Fuller.
One game,
exactly. But this may be. I mean, it's week 1, game 1. we could very well be overreacting right now since there
Yeah,
was no
absolutely.
preseason. It's I'm fully open minded to that, but all things considered,
Overreaction Friday.
oh,
Overreaction
absolutely,
Friday.
absolutely. But I will say for no preseason games, it was relatively crisp. You know,
I
the
thought the tackling was pretty poor. A lot of times they're just hugging people and falling down. I think this one of the safeties on Kansas City had a chance to really take out Brandon Cooks on one play, and he didn't. I don't know if he was being nice or he just didn't feel, comfortable trying to make
true.
that kind of hit.
And there were muddy conditions out there too, so he might have lost his footing.
Muddy conditions. The tackling on Hilaire was very poor. Um, you know, I I think this is going to be the norm for the first couple of weeks, just because nobody's really hit anybody, and there hasn't been a lot of preseason play.
Right.
Um, but it was nice to see football. I was watching with my wife last night, and she kind of mentioned it's not. It's just nice to hear football. It's nice to. It's kind of a symbol that we're moving forward.
Even if it is Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, who's clearly my second best in terms of the booths. Clear Jim Nance, Tony Romo, miles ahead of everybody, in my opinion.
I do enjoy Romo. I do because it does. I don't feel like I'm listening to a sportscaster. I feel like I'm sitting with you on the couch, like listening or talking about football. Like
He
that's
gets
what I like.
he gets so excited. It's just like it's amazing.
He gets excited. He can see what's gonna happen. He knows what's gonna happen before it happens. I like that insight from a quarterback. Um, and he gets paid a lot of money to do it too.
Absolutely, and they gave him the ability to actually go and try and qualify for the PGA Tour on the Pro Am events.
He's
So
just an athlete. He's just a junk. He's like a junky athlete. He could just pick up anything and be good at it.
absolutely, I mean, as long as he doesn't, as long as they don't hit him on the golf course, he's good because that
Well,
collarbone.
it doesn't even matter. I think he had to get out of the last tournament because he hurt his wrist. I think he tweaked his wrist in the last tournament. He's like, all right, guys, I got to go.
Yeah, but you know how it is sometimes. It's just like I'm embarrassing myself. I'm gonna fake an injury and get the hell out of here, kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I know Steph Curry also was in the same tournament. I think he bowed out with an injury. So I don't know. You never know with celebrity pro-ams if they're getting embarrassed
Yeah,
or
I think it
not.
was a pro. I think it was a pro am. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we should start before anything else with our division and Super Bowl picks for this year to kind of roadmap where we see the NFL going.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. So we'll start with the NFC first. What do you see for the NFC North?
So, in the NFC North, I might surprise you. I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think their defense is coached very well. And I really believe in Cooks as their running back. I believe in Cousins as their quarterback. I like the draft pick Jefferson they picked up at wide receiver. I think they have a very balanced team. And then they picked up the defensive end from the Jaguars, Yannick.
Oh,
I,
Ngakwe, yes,
yeah,
yes.
I think he's going to be a stud there, and I think they'll. I think they're gonna take it.
Well, I like that. I like that because I also took the Vikings to win that division.
There you go.
The order of finish might surprise you in terms of what I see for that division. And you can't really like it's all you can kind of see where things are going based on, oh, they got this guy, they got that guy. The Bears lost this guy, the Packers got this guy. But it's all based on gut, it's just based on what you see and
There's
where
tons
you're
of
going.
variables. I mean, there's tons of variables
Tons.
that can go into it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why, I mean, I like Matthew Stafford. I think that if he's healthy, the Lions are easily the second place team in this division.
Really,
Easily.
not
E-
contested.
Easily uncontested. They are a talented group of guys. The only thing standing in their way is the health of the quarterback and the head coach. If Matt if Matt Patricia can actually
But wait a minute. What about their running game? You believe in the running game? You believe in Peterson, Swift, and Johnson? You believe in that?
I believe it's enough of a change of pace to get them off Stafford just for a little bit and let Kenny Galladay do what he does. Now,
he might not play Sunday.
well, it's long term, right?
It's true. It's low. No, it is. It's true.
We're doing long term. I mean, everybody has. I mean, there's going to be a couple games where you're not, your starter is going to be out, and the Iron Man kind of thing. It's kind of been lost in some instances, and for this reason, I have the Bears finishing third in that division, mostly because I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to finish the season as the starting quarterback. He'll get his shot. He's earned it. He won the competition in camp.
Did you say he's going to get his shot, or he would get you shot? I feel like he would get you shot if you were like, yeah, I'm going to go with Mitch Trubisky for the whole season.
I mean, it's a little
shoot that man, kill him.
It's a little from column A, a little from column B, but they have Nick Foles, and that is the X factor.
How do you think Foles feels right now that he lost the starting job to Mitch Trubisky?
I don't know.
He lost a Super Bowl ring. He signed a lucrative deal with Jacksonville last year, and he comes to Chicago and he can't beat out Mitch Trubisky.
Well, I mean, they kept Gardner Minshew over him, so it's just at some point, he is what he is, and he's kind of like in that Josh McCown role, more talented than Josh McCown by far, but he's really kind of accepted that he's in that role, and he's phenomenally talented, and he is going to get a shot because I don't believe in Mitch Trubisky. I don't know how many games it's going to take, but Trubisky he's going to be out and Foles will be in, but it may be too late. And by default, that leaves the Green Bay Packers in last place. Now, I'm not impressed at all with their skill position players. And Aaron Rodgers has been running for his life. So I really don't know. I'm not 100% in love with the Packers. Now, Aaron Rodgers could turn around and, will them to a division title. It is more than possible. In fact, it's probably happened a couple times. But with the talent assembled, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I think defensively there's a lot of holes there. I kind of disagree with you. I do like Devontae Adams. I think he's a top 5 receiver in the league. And I think Jones proved last year that he can play the running back position very well. But it's definitely possible. I mean, this is the second year in LaFleur's system. They drafted a quarterback this year, so clearly they're getting ready to move in a different position, in a different direction. I can't say that it's not possible. It's definitely possible.
Well, I mean, a pissed off Aaron Rodgers is a great Aaron Rodgers. So that's the one thing you got going for you, right?
Yeah, but he also he always has health issues.
Yeah.
And it just might be trending in the downward direction.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not seeing it. So, but anything is possible. But sorry, Packer fans, I see you guys in last place. Mm-hmm. Transitioning from the north to the south, for me, until they lose the division.
Well, do you want to stay with the? We did the NFC North. Do you want to just do the AFC North?
Yeah, let's do the AFC North. Why not? I see clearly it's a 2-horse race. It's either the Ravens or the Steelers, and just based on health of the quarterback and skill position, as well as just track record, I'm taking the Ravens over the Steelers. But it's close. It's definitely close. The Browns, like a lot of people, I see a lot of people trying to get on that trend saying, they're going to be better than they were last year. They got to prove it. Sorry. I don't believe. Show me. With that collection, with that roster of talent, you got to show me. And you didn't show me anything. And clearly bringing up the rear, and they're still rebuilding, our Cincinnati Bengals.
I actually like Pittsburgh this year. I think this is Ben's last shot, last good run. I think Connor turns in a healthy season. I think I like Benny Snell a lot, the backup running back. I think Juju and Washington are going to have decent years. And that defense has so many first round picks on it. They're they're going to carry the team. It's going to be similar to Peyton's last year in Denver, where Ben's going to be serviceable, might even miss a game or two, but the defense is just going to swarm people and overwhelm people. I think Baltimore's Baltimore. I think their defense actually got better. And I'm not hating on Lamar. I think Lamar is good, but there's tape on Lamar now. Teams have had an awkward offseason to prepare for him this year. And I know that this is technically his third year, but to me, this is really his second year of, really being the guy. I'm not saying he wasn't the guy his first year because he got the team to the playoffs the first year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he took a step back. Maybe, didn't accumulate as many rushing yards or didn't throw as many touchdown passes. And I actually think I like the Bengals. I do. I like Joe Burrow. I believe in Joe Burrow. I do. And I believe in Joe Mixon. I just think that the tough part for them is going to be playing Baltimore and playing the Steelers twice a year. That's going to be really tough, you know? Uh, and then I'm indifferent on the Browns. The Browns are the Browns. I think they'll be better than they were last year. They got a lot of clowns on that team. But Miles Garrett he's a football player. He's a really good football player. And I don't think he can't carry the team at his position, but Baker has enough talent where if he put the effort in this offseason with the receivers and they went and got Austin Hooper, the tight end from the Falcons, there's no reason they don't average over 20 points a game or over 28 points a game. They have that capability, but again, facing the Steelers, you're facing Baltimore, like you've got to be able to rise above them.
Well, both of those teams are going to make Baker Mayfield make a lot of mistakes. And that's one of those things that he plays a little bit of playground ball. He just kind of he's that kind of guy who's just going to scramble, 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 scramble. Then he thinks he sees somebody open or just like a little flash, and then he'll just chuck it. There's a lot of Brett Favre in Baker Mayfield, and not the good Brett Favre.
His commercials are horrible. Oh, God. His progressive commercials, God. I saw one of them last night. I was like, oh, no, we're doing this again.
Yeah. I mean,
with taking care of the field and covering the seats, and there's a leaky toilet. Just like, oh, come on, dude.
Well, I mean, the one with Saquon Barkley stunk too.
Well, for Hulu Live Sports.
Yeah,
I like Hulu, so I'm not gonna get down on Hulu.
Let's put it this way. I mean, they're not going to win any Academy Awards anytime soon. Either one of them.
Right.
Yeah. So since we're in the AFC, let's stick to the AFC, but let's do the AFC South. I'm seeing the Colts in first, just with that accumulation of skill position players, that offensive line that was ready-made for Andrew Luck before he called it quits, adding Jonathan Taylor. I mean, if they give him time, Phillip Rivers can give them just enough to get them into the playoffs and get them a first-place finish in that division. The Titans, Ryan Tannehill, I'm not 100% sold on, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because the system is the same and Derrick Henry's still lining up in that backfield. I have the Texans in third place.
You're so generous.
Yeah. I mean, based on last night, that was tough. That's a tough one. But
I think you wrote that down before last night's game.
I did. I did. But, last place is easily the Jags. Don't tell me you're not tanking. You traded how many players? You're tanking. It's okay. Just admit it. It's fine.
Yeah, I like I do like the Colts, but I'm not sure they're gonna win the division. I think Tennessee won some pretty impressive games last year. They beat Kansas City. In the regular season. They beat the Patriots in the playoffs. They play defense. That defense is coached very well by Mike Vrabel. They added Clowney to it. They got King Henry running the ball. They have Tannehill, he's ball control, but he could throw. Like he can play. And who they playing up against? They're playing the Colts, the Jaguars, the Texans. Like it's tailor made. I feel like it's tailor made for them to really win the division. I'm with you on the Jaguars. You know, they're trying to get Debo to come there next year. That's what I think. And Houston, I already told you my opinion on Houston, but I do like Indianapolis, but I think Tennessee will take that division.
I don't know. I think with the pride of players on that team, like with J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson, that's the only thing keeping them above the Jaguars, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree to that.
All right. And from the AFC South to the NFC South, who do you have?
Man, that's tough. I think all those teams, even the Panthers, are gonna light it up. I think they're gonna. I think every team in that division kind of reminds me of the old AFC West, like when you had star-studded teams like you had Drew Brees on the Chargers with LaDainian Tomlinson. Like it just reminds me of that like star-studded league. But when it's all said and done, I'm sticking with the Golden Boy. I'm sticking with Tom and the Bucks. And that's another place. I think their defense is very good with Shaq Barrett and David. I think they're gonna really give people a hard time. And Tom is gonna do what he usually does. In the first half of the year, he's gonna light it up, and then when it starts getting cold, I know it's not gonna get cold in Tampa, but when it starts getting cooler outside, suddenly that 15-yard out is not as easy. Suddenly he can't quite get the ball downfield to who he needs to get it to. But, they did go and get Fournette. They got a stable of running backs. So I think they keep it going. I think Drew Brees and the Saints take a huge step back this year. Again, I'm seeing Tom posting pictures about practice and working out, and I'm seeing Drew Brees posting pictures about catching fish and going to these charity events. In my opinion, his mind is on the next step, and that's no knock on Drew. I think Drew's a great player, but this year he's not going to be able to take advantage of that dome home field advantage. There aren't going to be any people in the stands in New Orleans, so when you're playing in your dome, it's you against me. Which team is better? So I'm not sure how that's going to all unfold.
Definitely. I mean, I still think the Saints, just based on the fact that team chemistry, for me, that is, it's very important. You're still assembling the Bucks. There's going to be a learning curve, maybe a couple games, but I definitely think that in the beginning will favor the Saints. And the Bucks are clearly in second place. I have them as my wild card team.
So now when you say you have the Saints, you're saying you have like a 13-3 Saints, an 11-5 Saints, a 12-4 Saints. Like what kind of Saints team are you projecting?
I see somewhere between. We'll go 11-5.
Okay.
I'll see 11-5.
Yeah,
Not world beaters, not
right.
Yeah,
right.
but just enough to squeak them past Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So clearly they both are talented teams. I just think that little bit of team chemistry and being around each other longer is going to make a little bit of difference. Because Brady and Gronk are very familiar with each other, and that's it.
Yeah, and the other thing is they're running a new offense. It's not like they're running the Patriot offense. They're running AB's offense, but Bruce Arians' offense. Which is that we're gonna throw the ball downfield, and I don't care how many times you get hit. Like we're gonna chuck it, and we're gonna do our stretch run plays, our zone plays, and we're gonna score points. I mean that's his offense essentially.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely going to be the plan. Where they're going to try and light up the scoreboard whenever they can, and it's going to be on Todd Bowles this year. Like the main focus is going to be on Todd Bowles. Can he, they're going to score. Can they keep their opponents off the board? That's the question. As far as third and fourth place, you could flip a coin. I mean, the Panthers, new coach, new quarterback. not much in the way of skill position besides Christian McCaffrey. I still, just based on Teddy Bridgewater, I have them in third place in the division. Bridgewater and McCaffrey, I think, is going to be a really good combination. And I've been down on the Falcons for years. So I really don't see them doing all that well.
So Gurley doesn't make a difference. Julio doesn't do anything. Ridley.
It boils. Yeah, I've been let down by Matt Ryan too many times.
We all have.
Exactly.
But, you know, it's
exactly.
funny. It's like he doesn't do anything special, but he really is really good though. Like he's a top 10 quarterback numbers wise.
But so is Tony Romo.
Yeah. I know. It's just it's surprising and how Debbie Downer everyone is on him, but he's actually really good. Like he's really one of the better quarterbacks in the league.
Well, and that was also a weird thing too. Like they used to crap on Joe Flacco too. Joe Flacco was one of the most consistent quarterbacks you had, and it's just like, oh, he doesn't
Joe Flacco is going to play more games this year than he thinks.
Oh my.
He's lucky he's not healthy, because if he was healthy, he might be starting.
Oh God, Joe, can you throw left-handed?
Guys, my neck is still kind of messed up. I think I need to go on 6-week IR. No, you're all right. Just shoot up. We're not going to need you. We're just in case.
Oh my God. And speaking of which, might as well get the AFC East out of the way, since we're talking about Joe Flacco, the backup quarterback of the Jets. I still can't believe that one, but
Joe, you want to go to the Jets? Yeah, sure. No problem.
I can go back. I can live in Delaware, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I actually think it was a good move by Joe Douglas to get him, but he's hurt. That's number one. And number two, it's like, who's Joe throwing to? Like who? Like he might be running for his life. He might really get hurt. He might like get Trevor Siemian hurt, like that kind of hurt.
Oh geez. Well, there's one guy I know he's not throwing to, and that's Josh Bellamy. They released him after he got arrested for allegedly defrauding the government of the Paycheck Protection Program of like $24 million.
That's all?
That's all. Only $24 million. That's more than he made in his NFL career, probably.
I mean, I know it sounds weird, and I really do think Cam Newton is going to have a really good year this year. And I think they win that division. I think the Bills are good. Don't get me wrong. The Bills are good, and the Bills are gonna be there for years to come. But I really believe in Cam, because I think back to the year, he won his MVP. He didn't have a lot of talent around him. Like Ted Ginn Jr. was his best receiver, and then he had Greg Olsen as his tight end. So you're trying to tell me that Julian Edelman isn't better than Ted Ginn Jr., or the kid they drafted is not going to be better than Greg Olsen, or at least compare with Greg Olsen? I don't know. I think the Patriots are going to be okay.
Oh no, the Patriots, as long as Bill Belichick is coaching that team, they're fine. I mean, he took Matt Castle to an 11-5 record. So
it really
is the system.
Castle signed a fat contract that offseason. Where did he go?
Exactly.
Kansas City, I mean, right?
Kansas. Yeah, he ended up in Kansas City. Oh God, Belichick got him paid. So it really is the Patriot way, man. And as long as it's Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, you can never count them.
Asiasi.
No,
for the tight end that the Patriots drafted, it was David.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be all right. Yeah, he's gonna be able to carry it.
I mean, Belichick knows what he's doing. He knows talent evaluation. He knows how to get players. N'Keal Harry was hurt last year, so you figure he's going to bounce back. He showed glimpses. He showed flashes of what he can do. You have Julian Edelman to kind of be the rudder for the ship, and you still have James White. You still have Sony Michel.
Oh, they're gonna run a modified. They're gonna run a modified offense. I think it's really going to be based. It's going to be based around Cam. I think they're going to do what Josh McDaniels did when he was in Denver. I think they're going to run that system. So I think Cam's going to run the ball. He's going to do a lot of RPOs, and I think they're going to put up points. But real quick, I know we're talking about the AFC East, but who would you go with? Would you go with Newton and Bill Belichick, or would you go with Tom Brady and the star-studded Bucks? Like, if you had to choose which one was going to go further this year, who would you go with?
That's tough. That is really tough. Honestly, I mean, in some instances, you could see a Patriots Buccaneers Super Bowl in Tampa. So that would, I mean, there are ways to get there, but if they were to play in that game, I would give Belichick the nod. I really do. I think that his defensive mind is so much on the next level that he's seen stuff and he's done stuff that Tom Brady has never seen before.
Definitely.
Yeah. But in terms of just like single game, regular season, you know, the Buccaneers. But as soon as you ratchet up the stakes a little bit, you put some like real stakes on it, I don't bet against Bill Belichick unless they're playing the
Most
Giants.
People don't.
That's
Most
it.
people don't.
Yeah. Unless they're playing the Giants and Eli Manning. That's it.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. I think Buffalo's too talented. I really think that, they were that one player away. Josh Allen, he still has the issues. He's got a little bit of that bad Brett Favre in him too.
It's not
But
bad Brett
if they
Favre. It's just
can,
Brett Favre. You could just bad Brett Favre is Brett Favre. That's who Brett Favre is. He's bad.
he would probably tell you that too. He would probably say that.
Yeah,
to you.
he
Like,
agrees.
why
He knows he's
couch-
terrible. He knows,
Why are you couching it? Why are you qualifying
he
it?
knows how bad he is.
But he's a gunslinger. Josh Allen is definitely a gunslinger, but he's got weapons around him. That defense is there, and I think, I mean, we're talking about maybe 12-4. I'm not talking about like anything more than that. The Patriots, I have them in second place, maybe a game behind, maybe 2 games behind, and then third place, I got the Dolphins. I mean, I know that you're not 100% sold on them, but they made a lot of good strides, and I think that they're going to continue in that direction. Fitzy's got the ball. Fitzmagic is gonna do what he does. Basically he's Jameis Winston. But I think once he's just keeping the seat warm for Tua anyway, and once Tua is ready, he's gonna get some games under his belt. I mean, third place in that division, you're probably looking at the high, probably 7-9.
Really? Okay.
Maybe anywhere between 5, anywhere between 5-11 and 7-9. And then you have the Jets. The Jets are the Jets at this point. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is the only weapon that Sam Darnold really has that he can trust. I don't believe in Chris Herndon. Like Ryan Griffin, it was one good year. Who are his wideouts? Chris Hogan? I think Chris Hogan. I think that's it.
No, they drafted somebody. They drafted a guy. Oh no.
They have such a horrible.
They drafted Denzel Mims, right?
I think he's hurt.
They signed Rashad Perriman and Jamison Crowder. It was, I think, their leader last year in receptions and yards.
I mean, what does that tell you? Jamison Crowder was a third, wide receiver 3 for Washington.
It tells me that they have a lot of problems.
Yeah, there are a lot of holes on this team. They didn't replace Jamal Adams. I mean, Bradley McDougald, I'm sure he's going to do a good job.
I like how the New York Post tried to beef it up, how McDougald was this great safety. It's like, come on, guys. He's good. He's serviceable. He's not Jamal Adams.
If you want to get a guy from that system who is as good, maybe there's a little bit of tread on the tire. Earl Thomas is available.
The only thing I would say is about the safety position is that this division is not like we're going to throw the ball downfield division, right? you really need a safety that can sit in the box and hit people. That's really what this division is about. This isn't like, the AFC West or um, even the NFC North. Like these guys, you need a safety that's going to get in the box and hit people. You don't really need that deep coverage downfield. So maybe that's what they were thinking when they were like, we can trade Adams, and it was more about draft picks anyway. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they just didn't. Adams tried to pull a Darrell Revis, and like they did with Darrell Revis, they called his bluff and they got rid of him.
Yeah, but I
Right?
what he wanted.
That's
He wanted.
that's
That's
their
what he
move.
wanted. He wanted out. He didn't. He wanted out,
Yeah.
and I don't blame him. I
So
don't really blame him. He wants to get paid, and and if he has a good season this year, the Seahawks will pay him. It's just
well,
interesting
I
that I think he was hoping he was going to get paid ahead of time, kind of like Hopkins just got extended. Who was the other guy who got extended? Oh, Watson got extended, but I think he was hoping he was going to get extended. Oh, and they're working on Kamara's extension. I think he was
yeah.
hoping that he was going to get extended before the season started, and I think it's more in a, well, now you have to play. Like now he's going to have to play this year to really showcase what he's got. So it's really up to him, you know, how well he gets taken care of. Because I think there's even a safety on the Cardinals that got paid too, right? Wasn't there?
Buda
Yeah,
Baker.
he
Yep.
got. I think he became the highest paid safety. So I think Adams is better than him. So you know.
Buda Baker's good, but yeah, Adams is a better player than him. But that's the shrewdness of Pete Carroll. It's going to look at all the guys that have come through there. Clowney's gone, Chancellor's gone, Sherman's gone, Earl Thomas is gone, Jimmy Graham is gone. Like, it's what they do. He's a prove it kind of coach.
Oh, Sneaky
And
Pete.
then
Sneaky Pete knows what he's doing, man. Sneaky Pete.
was
Sneaky Pete knows what he's doing. He's
completely.
sticking. He's sticking with Russ because Russ is a leader. He's a workhorse, and he can win games. Their receivers are, with DK Metcalf and Lockett, solid.
Mm-hmm.
They got Greg Olson at tight end. Their offensive line is solid. Bobby Wagner is probably one of the best linebackers, if not the best linebacker in the league. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
No, he definitely knows what he's doing. So we'll transition out of the AFC East and we'll go to the NFC East. And I hate to say it, I'm a Giant fan. You know that the Cowboys are winning this division. There's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't run away with this division. And 12-4, 13-3, maybe even 11-5, depending on the competition. But what I here's the thing. Hear me out on the Eagles. I don't trust Carson Wentz. I don't believe he's going to finish the season. I think you're going to see a lot of Jalen Hurts. You're going to see a lot of Sudfeld, and they're just going to bottom out. Not as bad as Washington, but that's third place. So the Giants are second place by default, and that could be 7-9.
I
So
like the Cowboys too. They were the most efficient offense in the NFL last year. And then they went out and got a coach who knows a lot about offense. I think Zeke is probably going to lead the league in rushing. I think all three of their receivers, Gallup, Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb, are going to have really good seasons. I think the Cowboys are going to surprise people. They cleared a lot of cap space too, and I'm not sure what they're planning on doing. And I'm thinking maybe they're going to try. Maybe either they're working on that Dak extension, or maybe they're going to try to get AB at some point. But I don't even know what that would look like. But they cleared like $27 million in cap space because they just reworked DeMarcus Lawrence's deal. Why are you reworking all that? Why are you creating so much cap space right now? What are you guys hiding? What are you guys planning on doing?
yeah, I mean, what big fish is available out there for them?
Yeah, it's just a little odd. I thought that was interesting. Why now? Why in September?
Yeah,
Why?
and it doesn't seem like, I mean, Jerry Jones usually isn't that kind of guy. He's the George Steinbrenner of the NFL. So I find it very interesting that he is making these maneuvers. What do they know that we
Yeah,
don't?
I thought it was very interesting for it to happen now in September. What was happening
Definitely.
there? But yeah, I think the Giants are heading in the right direction. I think Washington's gonna be okay too. They need to figure out their quarterback situation. I think Haskins is okay. Riverboat Ron is a great coach, so they're gonna play defense. Um, and with the Eagles, I'm with you. I don't I think Wentz's days are numbered. You know, he didn't even deliver them a Super Bowl. So you know what? Goff and Wentz went 1-2, and Goff got his team to the Super Bowl. He lost, but you know
He got
Wentz
there.
was having an MVP season, but ultimately Foles got them to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So I actually like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good player. So I don't think Wentz finishes the season. I was actually surprised so many people drafted him in fantasy. Like, you better get a backup. um,
And, and honestly,
who's he throwing to? Alshon
Deshaun
Jeffrey,
Jackson. Like
Jalen
it's
Rigger's hurt. Like
yeah.
Ertz is upset because he hasn't gotten a contract extension. Miles Sanders is the running back. He's good. They got a decent offensive line, but I think they're trending in the wrong direction.
They're living off the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
for sure.
They are. They are. They are.
And they keep, they're investing in Jason Peters, and this is a team that could benefit from getting younger.
You know, Jason Peters is such a heady player to like say, okay, yeah, I'll play guard, but you're gonna have to pay me like a guard.
Right.
You're gonna have to pay me as like one of the best guards in the league. And now, what happens if he gets hurt? Like he gets hurt every year, and I like him. I think he's a
Yeah.
great player. But you know, that was the focus. Like the focus was like, okay, yeah, let's get Peters to play guard. Let's get this contract done. Meanwhile, Zach Ertz wants to be an Eagle for life. No one's addressing that, and
Yeah.
nobody brought any receivers in. Like what's happening right now?
They're running the old
Defensively,
Patriots set back when Aaron Hernandez was there. You're gonna have two tight ends, and God knows what
I
else.
actually thought that's what Tampa was going to do, but I don't know now because actually they might still do it, but I maybe BA is just going to stick to his normal. Yeah, they
Yeah, I
got
mean that's
look. This sounds like the receiving core from like 2010. You got the Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, Marquise Goodwin, and Jalen Rieger. That's who he's throwing to. None of these guys
is Freddie Mitchell not
None of these
available?
guys are going to finish the season. Literally, not one of these four guys is going to finish the season. Rieger is not.
I think Alshon
Rieger's hurt. Right?
I think Alshon's already hurt.
Alshon's hurt. Deshaun was hurt the last 2 years, and Rieger's hurt right now. I think Marquise Goodwin was hurt. I think he just got better, but good lordy.
Yeah. And then if you look at how he performed last year for the 49ers, he wasn't that good.
Yeah, they run a weird offense out there. I don't know what they're doing. Kyle Shanahan offense is weird. It's just
all I know is that I drafted Marquise Goodwin last year, and I was disappointed, very disappointed. Yeah. But since we're out there, let's talk NFC West. I like the Seahawks in first. It's going to be close. I don't foresee the major drop off that a lot of people are foreseeing for San Francisco. It's going to be close. What I do see is the Cardinals being sneaky and get into that third place slot, and the Rams, the Rams are in a weird situation because everybody and their mother wanted to anoint Sean McVay like the next coming of Vince Lombardi, and they wanted to hire everybody who once had a sandwich with Sean McVay at catering, but the league is kind of caught up with him a little bit, and I don't see that evolution that he was known for. Cam Akers is there, Jared Goff is there, Cooper Kupp is there, Robert Woods, but I see other teams out there that are doing it better.
I think the Rams light it up this year. I do. I think
really.
I do. I think Woods and Kupp are going to come back healthy. I like the two-headed monster in Henderson and Akers that they have in the backfield. They have two tight ends, Everett and Higbee, who can play. Their defense is they should be really good. They're really good on paper. Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in the league. Jalen Ramsey is a top 3, top 4 corner. They just paid the guy. Uh, I think they're gonna be the team to beat. I do think it's gonna be close. I don't think they're gonna run away with it, but I think they're gonna be number one. I think the Seahawks will get into that wild card, and I think San Francisco will be. I think this is gonna be a reality check this year for San Francisco. I don't want to say they got lucky last year, but they punched teams in the mouth last year. Like they had their running game was just off the chain, and Kittle was awesome, but that's that stuff kind of got exploited once they hit the playoffs and once they got to the Super Bowl. It's kind of like what happened to the Rams. Remember the Rams ran through the NFC, then they got to the Super Bowl and they lost, and then the next year, last year, they couldn't do anything. So I think that's what's going to happen with San Francisco this year. It's like people are going to figure them out. Kyle Shanahan's a good coach, but in my eyes, I still look at him as an offensive coordinator, and I think they're going to struggle this year.
Yeah. So what do you think about Jimmy G? You think he's gonna kind of stay on this trajectory?
Yeah,
You think he's gonna?
Jimmy G's good. I don't think he's great. I think he's good. He's a good player. He's Tony Romo. He's a good player. Like he's a good quarterback. He's not great.
Yeah,
he's good.
Because he caught a lot of shade last year after the Super Bowl. It's just he wasn't playing defense.
He wasn't playing defense, but he made some piss poor throws, poor decisions. He looked like a backup that was starting, and that's not what they're paying him to be, and that's ultimately not what he really is. He's a good player. I think it was too much for him too fast. I think he he had a little bit of pee coming out, before pregame, and then he got his stuff together. But I think in the long run they're going to be okay. They have a lot of running backs, and their defense is really good. With Boza and I think it was Solomon's the guy that they drafted a couple of years ago. Yeah. I think they're gonna be okay. There's gonna be a weird year for them where they just don't get it done.
That's fair. I mean, that division is definitely one of the more intriguing divisions anyway.
Oh, it's a death match, man. Every game's a death match. It's just like we were talking about with the what was it I said? The AFC no, the NFC South. It's like the NFC South. Like all those teams are really good. Like people don't sleep on Arizona. Arizona just got DeAndre Hopkins. They still have Larry Fitzgerald. They've got Kirkland, like Christian Kirk. I mean, they got Christian Kirk. They got a good team,
Kenyon Drake coming out
of the backfield, scaring people. Well, their defense is solid. I mean, Chandler Jones is like one of the best defensive ends in the game. Like Patrick Peterson's like a great corner. Like they're really good. You can't.
It all boils down to quarterback play.
What? It all goes back. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if he had like a Lamar-like season. Like he's really good. Like he's like numbers wise. Like I'm not saying he's gonna win the MVP and everything, but he's gonna run for yards. He's that good. He's got a big arm. He has a big arm.
Yeah. I mean, Kyler Murray definitely showed that he has the ability. He definitely showed that he has, the wheels. At times he had the pocket presence, and having Larry Fitzgerald there definitely helps. He's like another coach on the field. So Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I think that's the only difference. The difference I think is coaching wise. I don't look at Cliff Kingsbury as a Kyle Shanahan or as a John Harbaugh. I don't look at him like that.
Yeah, I looking at his college record and looking what he was able to do, it was a question mark hire to begin with, and he overachieved. Hopefully he's one of those guys who just looks terrible on paper, but is actually really good.
Yeah, I think he's a good coach. He's a good coach, but it's a tough division. He's definitely out coached in his division. Let's put it like that. Like with Shanahan, Carroll. I mean, come on, man. You're like you're on the bottom of the barrel. Even with McVay went to a Super Bowl. Like you're the third best coach in that division.
Right. You may if they were hiring for an offensive coach.
You're the last coach in that division.
Honestly, if they were hiring for offensive coordinator, he might not even get an interview.
Yeah, I don't know if he would. I don't know.
Yeah. And then that leaves us with the division of the Super Bowl champs from last year, the AFC West. And yeah, it's the Chiefs. Like, come on. Come on. I got nothing for you other than it's the Chiefs. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, they had the 6th fewest runs last year. And then like after last night's game, they're gonna show people that we can run the ball. And if you gotta defend the run, you gotta defend Kelsey, you gotta defend Tyreek Hill. Well, it's impossible. It's impossible. You gotta hope they beat themselves. You gotta hope they make mistakes, and even on defense with Alex Okafor and Anthony Hitchens, like their team is stacked. Their team is so stacked. Frank Clark is a monster. He's a monster. He's so good. He's so good.
And I was concerned last night that, okay, Chris Jones got his money. He's going to put it into low gear. Chris Jones isn't putting anything into low gear.
He had 2 sacks last night. Chris Jones is really good. They got Tyrann Mathieu. Let's not forget that. And I believe that
they're going to get Rashad Breeland back,
he used to be
too.
A Texan, too. I think
Unbelievable.
He was a Texan at one point. The Texans draft really well. They just can't hold on to any of their players.
Oh, we're going to get to that in a second. Absolutely. But with their cornerback situation, I would call Aqib Talib. I know he turned down Belichick and said he's retired, but you get a chance to go to the Super Bowl champs. They call you, you're going to listen.
I don't think they need him. I really thought that their rookie played well last night. He was on Brandon Cooks most of the night, and I thought he played really well.
Well, I mean, hopefully Breeland comes back and he's Breeland again because it's a substance abuse, I think, or performance enhancing. He was out for 4 games. Yeah. But the rest of the division, you can kind of just rearrange the names, and I wouldn't be surprised with any of them. I'm picking the Raiders to finish in second place. With the talent they have with Jacobs and Carr, and they should be. The Raiders should be for years. And for third place, I have the Broncos. I think Drew Lock is going to open some eyes,
I think he's going to play good too.
Yeah, there's going to be some growing pains, and I think Von Miller is out for the year.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
So that's not going to help matters much. And then the Chargers, I just think they screwed up on the quarterback. So, it's great. You got Austin Eckler, you got Keenan Allen, that's great, but Taylor's not the guy, and Herbert's going to be in by week 7.
At least that's what it looks like right now. It does look like they might have made a mistake there, but who knows? I mean, he could turn out to be really good. I mean, he definitely has arm talent. He has arm talent, but
true.
I can't remember the last Oregon Duck that came into the NFL that really made a splash. Like what, Joey Harrington? Was that the last?
My man Joey.
Was that the last quarterback that came out of Oregon? I mean, my heart belongs to Kellen Clemens because I always liked him. But I mean, what was the last quarterback? Mariota was serviceable. I mean, he had a really good first year. I guess he got the Titans to the playoffs. What, twice?
Twice, I think. But the problem with Mariota is they always skip leg day. Like, he's just got these chicken legs, like Robert Griffin, man. And just like, you need to, if you're going to be a mobile quarterback, you need to be able to withstand the hit. And that's exactly what happened to Robert Griffin. His leg folded like a folding chair.
Was really, yeah.
And it was gruesome. And Mariota has had, knee problems too. So, it's one of those things. You got to be, if you have to be fully built as a quarterback. It can't just be all arm.
Right.
I'm getting hungry over here. Should have cooked up some dinner. And if you're looking for a new cooking show to binge, check out As You Eat It on YouTube, hosted by me, Chef Z. I invite you into my home and show you what and how I cook when I'm off the clock as a chef instructor. You're going to learn fun recipes and creative methods to empower and inspire you in the kitchen and take it to the next level. Cook how you want to cook, eat how you want to eat as you eat it. That's As You Eat It, available only on YouTube. AZ, You Eat It. Check it out, and let's get cooking.
Ultimately, my AFC Championship game is the Steelers and the Colts. And in my NFC Championship game, I have the Vikings and the Seahawks. And then from there, I got the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl to play the Steelers. That's what I have. And then I have the Seahawks taking it home.
Wow. So you and I both have the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl.
Whoa. That's
well,
cool.
This is anticlimactic.
That's not cool.
Oh, man. So, but the only difference for me is that I have them beating the Chiefs.
Well, that's a tall order, but definitely possible.
Hey, you know what? They got Jamal Adams. They got the X Factor now,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I definitely have the Chiefs and the Ravens in the AFC title game. And, you know, I got to say, Buccaneers Seahawks.
I mean, that was what it was supposed to be last year, right? It was supposed to be the Ravens and the Chiefs. I was all ready to go to that AFC Championship game. I totally thought that was going to happen. Yeah. I was like, yes, I'm going to go down to Baltimore. It's going to be great. And then they got clipped by the Titans.
Well, you know, the Titans surprised a lot of people. Like you said, you know, there's film on them this year, so we're definitely going to see what happens. But
it would be really impressive if Tom is able to get them to the NFC Championship game. That would be
with that talent. You know,
he's old. He's 40. I mean, I love Tom Brady, but that's a really tall order. It's a really tall order to get to the NFC Championship and make it out of that division. This division's got to be the hardest division he's ever played in. Even when the Jets were good and the Jets had like a top 5 defense, I mean, at that time, still like the Bills were trash or the Dolphins were trash. Like, I don't think he's ever played in a division with, you know, that's this loaded. And this division is loaded.
Probably when he got benched for Drew Henson in Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan. All right, so you heard it here, guys. We're both taking the Seahawks. it's kind of anticlimactic, but that's okay. Who do you have for MVP? For me, it's Russell Wilson.
For me, I like the Russell Wilson pick, but I'm sticking with Cam. I think Cam Newton is going to have a really good year. I think he's going to be the MVP and the comeback player of the year.
Hey, you know what? That's a half a Pennington.
Yeah,
there.
That's definitely it. I think he won that award twice.
Yes.
It got to the point where he's like, man, I don't want to come back. I just want to be here.
Can we petition the NFL to actually change it to the Chad Pennington Comeback Player of the Year award?
That'd be great.
I think we should do that.
Chad would appreciate that, but
I think Chad would love it. He's coaching high school somewhere. It's not. I'm sure he's the greatest quarterback in Jets history. So you know.
He's not better than Joe.
He's definitely won more than
Joe. But Joe won a championship. He beat Johnny Unitas and the Colts. Man, that's never.
I mean, if we're talking
what?
If we're talking playoff performance, then Mark Sanchez is the second greatest quarterback in Jets history.
He's got some, he's got some pretty impressive numbers, believe it or not, for in the playoffs. That's
I love Mark
Those
Sanchez.
Defenses carried his ass. That's why.
That's for sure. All right, so Rookie of the Year, who you got? You going with Burrow?
No, I'm going to go with Hilaire because I think he's going to get a lot of action. He's going to rush for 1,000 yards. He's probably going to have between like 10 and 16 touchdowns, like total. It's going to be hard for him not to win that.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, honestly, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. And just because he's going to be a primary weapon on the Dallas Cowboys, and whenever possible, they love to slurp the Dallas Cowboys. So CeeDee Lamb is going to be my pick.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah. And then here comes the fun part. Coach of the Year and first coach fired.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Bill Belichick as the coach of the year. I just think he's just going to do a really good job coaching up Cam and getting them in. And then the first is terrible one. I think the first coach to be fired is going to be Brian Flores from the Dolphins.
Oh, man.
I think they're gonna. Did you hear what happened? Josh Rosen got released, and like 2 hours later, he got signed to the practice squad of the Buccaneers. Like, it's
Oh
just
my
some of the
goodness.
moves and some of the things that are happening down there. It's just like because, and the other thing is I feel like the Dolphins have kind of set this up because they went and signed Chan Gailey as the offensive coordinator. Like Chan Gailey, like has been around forever, and I feel like they'll let Flores go because then Chan Gailey can just take off over the coaching duties, and they're gonna go into the offseason like probably trying to get Debo, trying to
Yeah.
Dabo, trying to get Dabo. I think everybody's gonna try to get him.
Yeah, I mean he's going to call a shot this year because he's got the control of the quarterback too.
Right, and that's the whole
So
thing. Like,
as
yeah,
long as
right,
you
exactly.
yeah, package deal.
Right, if someone's gonna try to get a package deal.
For me, coach of the year, I got to say Pete Carroll. I mean, he's a great coach. He's going to have that team with the best record in the NFC. And as far as first coach fired, it's tough. It's really a coin flip for me between Dan Quinn and Bill O'Brien.
See,
And
I thought
just
the
because,
same thing. The tough part about Bill O'Brien is he's also the GM. So was he gonna fire himself? Like, the owner would have to step in, and the owner, I don't know if the owner is gonna do something like that because then who's he gonna get? He's gonna have to fill two positions. That's something that won't happen until the off season, and that's just my opinion.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, with the way the roster is constructed, you got to figure that the owner signed off on this. So it's not, just because he's also the GM and the coach.
I don't know why anybody thinks that works because it just doesn't work. Like when you gotta control roster spots and you gotta be looking at the waiver wire and you gotta be bringing people in to work them out. I remember, when I was with the Jets, we would have people coming in every day to like work out for us. Some of them were like former first round picks, and some of them were just guys that just got released. But you got to be coaching your team. Like you got to be trying to game plan and get ready for the week. You can't be like checking out corners that, just got cut from the Seahawks and trying to see if he can be on the practice squad or if he can help you that week. Like I just think it's a tall order. Like who's the last person to successfully do it? Like Mike Holmgren, right? Like
Belichick.
No, Belichick's not the GM, is he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but that's the thing though. He has the lieutenants. He could be like Josh, run the practice. I'm gonna go check this out. Yeah, and Josh McDaniels will go do it, or Matt Patricia when he was the defensive coordinator. Hey Matt, have them out there. I gotta go take care of this. If you have the lieutenants to delegate, it's a totally different thing. I mean, Bill O'Brien is also the offensive coordinator, I believe, and Anthony Weaver is the defensive coordinator. So, you need to delegate. You need to, if you're going to have that role, you got to delegate. I know Bill Parcells said, if you want me to cook the meal, I got to shop for the groceries too. But if you're picking rotten fruit, I'm not eating that food.
It's crazy how long like Josh McDaniels has been coaching the New England Patriots. Like he's been with them for so long, like since he was like a kid. Like I'm talking about like since like 2001. Like isn't that crazy? Like he was like 25 years old and he was like a personnel assistant. Then he was a defensive assistant. Then became a quarterbacks coach. Then he's an offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Then he gets a head coaching job for the Rams. No, he gets a head coaching job for the Broncos. Then he goes to be an offensive coordinator for the Rams. But then it's right back to New England. Like it's unbelievable how long he's been like with that organization.
And you know what? He had the Colts job.
Yeah.
Up until
like,
he decided he didn't want it.
That.
Wait, you're actually hiring me?
Wait a minute. So Andrew wants to do what? No, I'm out.
Wait, let me look at this offensive line. Hold on, hang on 1 second. No, I'm good. I'm going to go back.
Thank you, though. Thank you.
I appreciate it, But yeah, I mean, he's I don't know how they're going to do that to circumvent the Rooney rule, but it's kind of like a fait accompli that he's the successor. You know,
You would think,
like
yeah. I
if
mean,
Belichick,
you would think that that's why he's staying around.
yeah.
Um,
But you figure that eventually, I mean, I'm not saying Belichick's gonna like leave the organization entirely. It would have been great if he came to the Giants last year. I hope Joe Judge is half as good as these guys and not like, I mean, the good year of Eric Mangini, not the rest of Eric Mangini. But you know, I could see Belichick kind of bowing out gracefully and just ending up being a player personnel guy until he decides he wants to
yeah,
retire.
I don't know. I don't know how it ends for him.
We also have a few prop bets for you guys. Take this for what it is. It's just a little bit of fun. We're not putting any money on it. I wouldn't recommend you run to Vegas and put money on these. I wouldn't recommend you going on FanDuel and doing any of these. It's just for shits and giggles. So the first prop that we have going for you guys: who plays more games this year, Antonio Brown or Josh Gordon?
You know what? I think Josh Gordon plays. I think Antonio Brown plays more games, but I think Josh Gordon ultimately gets suspended, and the Seahawks sign Antonio Brown. I think that's gonna happen.
That would be genius. That would
That's
be
exactly
priceless.
how it's gonna unfold.
Priceless. For me, I see Antonio Brown playing more games. I definitely do. Maybe not with the Seahawks, although that would be just delicious if he replaces Josh Gordon, who screws up for the 19th time. But, Antonio Brown, he does have some tread on the tire. And he's definitely got the legal issues. But I don't know. I could see Bill Belichick giving him another go, especially,
Oh, I'm
if
sure.
he
I'm sure
proves
he
that
wants to. I don't know if Kraft would allow that at this point.
yeah. Honest, if it's about winning, I I think they would kind of they would make him prove that he's kind of that he's
I mean, he would
rehabilitated,
have.
so to speak.
I mean, let's be real. The Patriots would have won last year if they had Antonio Brown. I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely. If
that's
they
why
if they had
I don't know if winning will change anything on that.
I don't know, but Antonio Brown would easily be the best wide receiver that Cam Newton's ever thrown to. Because I mean, it's up there with Edelman, like Newton and Edelman, Brown and Edelman, I should say. But in terms of talent, Antonio Brown is much more talented than Julian Edelman. I love Julian though. Second prop: who gets injured first, Todd Gurley or David Johnson? Now you know how I feel about this. It's a moral victory for David Johnson that he survived Game One. Ultimately, Todd Gurley, those knees, like how many years in a row has he had an arthritic knee? Like those things don't get better. So if Johnson survived the first game, I'm gonna have to go with Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the opposite on that. I mean, it looked like David Johnson already tweaked his wrist in the game last night. I thought he was gonna, I thought he was gonna be out for the rest of the game. Um, but people keep talking about Todd's knees, but Todd's keep playing games. He keeps scoring touchdowns. So I'm gonna go with David Johnson, getting hurt first.
Okay. This is an interesting one. Now, who gets traded first? Le'Veon Bell or AJ Green?
Gee, I'm gonna, I don't know. If I had to choose one of them, I would say AJ Green because nobody's taking that Le'Veon Bell contract. They will force him to get cut, and someone will try, and nobody will claim him, and then someone will try to sign him. Nobody's taking that contract. No way. I don't care how good you are.
I'll say AJ Green as well because of the contract situation, but that's what influenced my Lions pick because I see the Jets cutting Bell and Bell going to Michigan where he starred in Michigan State and working out swimmingly for the Lions.
There, you got a stable of backs already. They went and got Adrian Peterson. What are they going to do with him? They're going to cut him?
Yeah, Adrian Peterson's a stopgap. He's definitely in his mid to upper 30s. If the writing's on the wall for him, I think it's more of a stopgap measure for him. And if as soon as they see somebody, better, they'll cut him loose. It's not really that much of a commitment for Matt Patricia and the Detroit Lions. But it's like shiny toy syndrome. It's like the shiny new thing.
Yeah.
I get the chance to get Le'Veon Bell. Well, I'm gonna do it. Absolutely. And if I think that there's no risk, in my opinion, just because he's not going back to Pittsburgh. Like that would be the only other place that I could see Le'Veon Bell going, is to be like, Coach Tomlin, I'm sorry. Ben, I'm sorry. Please let me back in the backfield.
I think that ship has sailed too. I don't think.
Yeah. Just like Antonio Brown.
There's just too much said. Yeah, there's just too much said.
For sure. And the last prop bet that we have for you guys, more starts this season, Nick Foles or Jalen Hurts?
Ooh. I'm going to go with Hurts. I think Wentz gets hurt in the first 4 weeks, and I think Wentz gets hurt in the first 4 weeks, and then Hurts finishes the season, and I think ultimately will be the starting quarterback moving forward.
I definitely think that it's going to be close, because the timeline for Wentz to get hurt is going to coincide roughly with the time that Matt Nagy just realizes that Mitch Trubisky is not any good. So that's in between week 4 or 5.
You think it's going to take him this long to figure it out? He's going to figure it out already?
I don't think he is. I don't think he
open your eyes, for God's sake.
Exactly.
It really falls on the GM. Like, they just don't want to admit that he just doesn't want to admit that he passed up on, like, Watson and wasn't that even in the Pat Mahomes draft? That was in the Pat Mahomes draft too.
The Chiefs traded up to get him.
He passed on those guys to pick this kid up who only played 1 year. I'm pretty sure he only played 1 year of college football, like
at North Carolina.
Man.
I honestly, I think that it's going to take Nagy that long to kind of like swallow his pride. But
I don't even think it's on Nagy. I think Nagy already he must know already. He's just trying to save the GM like the embarrassment, because come on, if he had named Foles the starter, think of the fallout from that. Like, if you're Mitch Trubisky, your agent's going to say, just cut me. Cut me. Don't even put me through this. Cut me. What am I doing here? True. So I think that is what happened. He's forced in a situation where he has to play him. You let him burn, and then you let Foles take over, because otherwise you're just gonna lose the guy right away.
Right. Very similar to like a Blake Bortles.
He's not going to get
Gabbert.
Re-signed. Even if he had a great year this year, he's still not going to get There's no way they're going to re-sign him.
No, Trubisky's done in Chicago.
No way they're going to re-sign him. No way.
I could see him, latching on as a backup, career clipboard jockey. You're looking, Tennessee would probably pick him up, or, Jacksonville, who's hurting for quarterbacks.
Go to Miami too.
You can go to Miami. Like, there are going to be landing spots for him.
He can go to Seattle. I think Seattle would take him too. Like, he's serviceable backup. He might even go down to Kansas City, although they're happy with Matt Moore. Matt Moore played well last year for them.
They're 3 deep. They have Matt Moore and Chad Henne. Chad Henne.
Chad Henne has a Super Bowl ring. How crazy is that? That's amazing.
Think about this. Tom Brady's backup is Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert stinks.
Yeah. He was like a number 7 overall pick too.
He was
something like that, right? He was something high in the top 11, I want to say.
But that just goes to show you that if Blaine Gabbert can consistently get jobs in this league, Mitch Trubisky will have no trouble getting work. But I think the other thing they'll do is they'll give him time.
Yeah, he was a number 10 overall pick in the 2011 draft.
Yeah.
His
I don't know.
profile looks like he's
Jacksonville.
really fitting into that Tampa Bay culture, by the way. He looks like he goes to the gas station every day for a Slurpee. That's what he looks like in his picture. And he looks
Oh
like
my
he's got
goodness.
like wild dogs running around on his land wherever he lives. And he says y'all a lot.
There you go. That eye patch isn't for show. But yeah, I mean, I'll take Nick Foles. Just I think that they're going to give Trubisky a little bit of time, and I think they're going to wait for the running game to get whole again, and then they'll give him, they'll give him a full, at least a couple weeks with a full complement of weapons, and then they'll cut bait. But Nick Foles is definitely going to start more games than Jalen Hurts, Mitch Trubisky, and Carson Wentz. So definitely, definitely take these for what they are, guys. It's just for fun, and do not mortgage your house with these picks. This is another good one, brother.
Yes, it was. It was great.
Oh, yep, definitely. And I'm looking forward to next week. I'm definitely looking forward to see how we did matched up with our picks. And if you guys want to get in on anything, email us at faderoutemail@gmail.com, and we'll incorporate your feedback and mail into one of our segments. So thank you for getting faded with us this week. I'm Z, that's D, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Stay classy. See you later.
You too, brother. Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.